Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tanner's Favorite Things. I'm Tanner Knight, and today we're hopefully going to trade a guitar. This is something I've actually never done. I've always thrown out trade offers to folks on my local Craigslist or KSL, as it is here in Utah, and even some on Reverb, but I've never actually had anyone decide to pull the trigger. So this guitar is going to be traded for another guitar that we'll take a look at afterwards, but let's go ahead and set up this video by taking a look at what we're trading. This is my 2003 Gibson SG Standard, and this is one of my absolute favorite guitars, so I'm kind of on the fence whether this is a good idea or not, but I figure, hey, the SG is pretty ubiquitous. You can generally find a pretty awesome used SG at any given time, so I feel like replacing this guitar is not going to be all that hard. So this is what's underneath the shroud. We have a beautiful Gibson SG Standard. I've already done a video on this guitar before. I'll try to link to that in the description, but we're going to go ahead and try to trade this guitar today. So this is the before, and then we'll take a look at what we get after the trade. Alright, cut to about an hour later, and here we are with a new guitar. This guitar represents a couple different firsts for this channel. Number one, this is the first guitar that I've ever traded for. And two, it's the first Ernie Music Man guitar that I've ever even picked up, really. These guitars have a really good reputation for being some of the highest quality build guitars that you can get here in the US. So let's go ahead and open up this case. We have a Rosewood Ernie Music Man Axis Sport. And you can see that on the headstock here. Axis Sport. And this is just a gorgeous example of a rosewood neck. And I think the main event is on the back here. Let's go ahead and just take a look at this neck and headstock. That's some beautiful wood right there. So that's really what endeared me to this guitar in the first place, was the rosewood neck. But we do have a rosewood top as well. I think the body is either basswood or some sort of swamp ash, not 100% sure. But we have our zebra stripe humbucking pickups, a single volume, single tone. This is the non-tremolo version. You'll most likely find a tremolo on this style of guitar, as it has kind of its roots in the Eddie Van Halen tradition. But rosewood neck and fretboard. And let's see, is this a single slab of rosewood? I think it is, in fact, a single slab. It's hard to tell, but I do think that that's a single slab, just like Fender does with their maple necks and fretboards. But we have 4 and 2 on a side, dot inlays, and single ply binding around the body. So all very, very nice. And it even looks like we have some locking strap locks. I don't know what style that is, but looks locking to me. Alright, so here's our first impression. Let's go ahead and plug it in and hear how she sounds. Alright, so I've had a chance to play this guitar for a little bit, and I can tell you it plays really, really nicely. Again, there's a lot of firsts going on here. Again, first Ernie Music Man guitar that I've ever owned, or picked up for that matter. My first guitar with a fully rosewood neck and a rosewood top to match. And then, of course, I've never played these DiMarzio pickups before. I think they're specific to the Ernie Music Man Axis line of guitars. So pretty specific there, but a really nice set of pickups. Alright, so let's get some specs on this guitar before we hear some tones. First of all, we're dealing with a 25.5-inch scale length, so somewhere in between the Gibson and Fender style. We have a 1.6-inch width here at the nut, as well as a 0.82-inch depth also at the nut. And then when we go up to the 12th, it widens up to 2.00 inches even, and then it has a thickness of about 0.94 inches. A really nice feature of this guitar are the 6 locking Shure tuners. They have this pearloid, I think is what it is. I don't think it's actual pearl, but a pearloid material on the actual tuning heads, and then they do lock on the back. A very nice set of tuners. Our stop tailpiece has individual saddles, something that I always love to see on a guitar. It just makes intonating it that much easier. It looks like it's a 5-bolt design to keep that bridge in place, so pretty standard there. Speaking of 5 bolts, on the back we have 5 bolts holding the neck in place, so kind of a novel little design concept, and it actually allows for a cutaway so that you can access the upper frets a bit better. So, not that I play up here all that often. So you can get up there. I mean, obviously people with more skill will have better sounds up there, but the access is there, and I think access is kind of a nod to the fact that this does have extra access to the upper frets. I think these are medium jumbo frets, and we have a 10-inch fretboard radius. Our truss rod adjustment is a wheel style one here where you can get your Allen wrench in there and crank it if it needs it, but this thing is dead straight. This was in the hands of a luthier just minutes ago, or hours ago I guess, and it was set up properly. So the next thing I wanted to mention is, of course, this guitar's connection to the Eddie Van Halen line of guitars. I know you might be saying, here we go again talking about Eddie Van Halen, but it just so happens that he does have a lot of ties to the gear that I love. We've talked about Eddie's relationship with Peavey a little bit, and in fact I'm plugging into the EVH 5150 Peavey head that he designed in conjunction with Peavey, and that was in the early 90s, right around 91, and that's exactly around the same time as his affiliation with Ernie Ball Music Man. Prior to that, he had endorsed Kramer and played Fenders, but this is the first guitar that he truly designed, and he actually has a famous quote where he says, I endorsed a bunch of guitars in the past, but this is the first one I've actually designed. So he held this one very near and dear to his heart, and it has a lot of Eddie Van Halen style quirks as a result. So from 1991 to 1995 or 96, this guitar was really Eddie Van Halen's signature guitar. He moved away from Ernie Ball Music Man in 96 and paired up with Peavey for his guitar making as well. So he had the Peavey amp and the Peavey guitar, both with the EVH signature on it. Again, that Peavey design is very similar to this. It's called the Wolfgang, and it's basically a carbon copy of this guitar with some slight additions to make it slightly different. So once 96 comes around, this guitar gets rebranded and renamed the Ernie Ball Music Man Axis, and they have a whole line based on the Axis model. This one is actually called the Axis SuperSport, and it is a specific model that has this rosewood neck. I took a look at the Ernie Ball Music Man website to see if they still offer something similar to this, and it looks like they don't. I didn't find any rosewood neck options or rosewood as a topping option, mostly maple now. So to me, this is kind of a unique guitar. It has a really interesting lineage, being part of that Eddie Van Halen tradition, but in the 10 or so years since Eddie Van Halen left Ernie Ball, they refined this guitar to be kind of something unto itself. This particular model is a stop tail version. There's no trem. That's something that you would never find on an Eddie Van Halen guitar. So they've really diversified the model and made it so it can be a guitar that not just shredders will play. Okay, next topic, the pickups. These are brand new to me, but I really enjoy them, and I think that they have a unique layout that I haven't really seen in very many other dual humbucker guitars. So you have two humbuckers, obviously, and I do love the DiMarzio zebra stripe look. That's just top notch. But we have these pickups which are either humbucker style pickups or paired single coil, and there's two different single coil options. If you go into the far bridge position, that is the traditional bridge where you have a full-on humbucker, two coils here that are wrapped to cancel the hum, and then they are producing the sound. If we go one position in, and you'll notice this is a 5-way toggle, so we're in position 2 of 5, that gives us the outer single coils. And just to show you, let's go ahead and test that out. We've got the outer single coils. That one's live, quiet, quiet, live. So we have our outer single coils that are in pair when we're in that position 2. Position 3 is our dual humbuckers that are sharing the load. And then if we go to position 4, we have the inner single coils. So let's test that out again. Quiet, live, live, quiet. So you can see there that it's a really unique configuration, leaving us with our full-on neck humbucker as position 5. It seems like you can get an infinite amount of tonal opportunities out of here, so I'm really excited to work through these and give you some tonal examples. Alright, we've got a lot of sounds to get through, so I'm going to kind of keep these demos short, but just give you an idea of what each position sounds like. We have our clean tone of our Axis SuperSport rosewood neck, rosewood top, basswood body, by the way, solid basswood, and that actually makes this guitar really light. And that was one of the criteria that Eddie had in his original design. He wanted a really light guitar, so basswood was the wood he chose. Alright, so let's start in the bridge and hear just some regular old clean tones. Oh, by the way, we have the 5150 being pumped into this 4x12 Freyette cab, which contains 4 Celestion V30 speakers. So really common sounds that you'll hear here. And we have two microphones capturing the sound today. We have an SM58 on the bottom here, and then we have the V250 MXL condenser mic on the left side here, or your right side. So let's go ahead and hear how this thing sounds. Here we are in position 2. Position 4, again, this is the inner single coil position. And finally, our neck humbucker. So, really good, usable, clean tones in all 5 positions. Of course, we have our tone knob, which you can use to wind in tone. So that sounds about what you would expect from a tone knob. I usually leave it wide open, like. So once we go into the lead channel, it doesn't quite matter what position you're in. I'll run through them real quick with some gain. We'll just go into the Peavey lead channel on the 5150 amp. That's really rowdy. We're in the bridge right now. So if we just go bridge. Color the tone that much when you have a bunch of gain in there. Just for kicks, let's hear a different pedal. We'll go to the tube screamer. That bridge humbucker actually sounds really good with the tube screamer. Bring it back to the bridge, add the metal zone. Metal zone sounds really good too. So what are my final thoughts here? Of course, to me, the most important thing of this guitar is the Rosewood neck. It's super stunning. It's very unique. It's dark. It's rich. It has really unique stripes that go all the way up to the headstock, and there's a satin finish on the neck that you can see. It changes here to a nice glossy finish. This is the finish that's on the front and the back of the headstock, but for the playing surface, it's nice and satiny so you don't get stuck on the neck. The one thing I'm not 100% sure on is what these strap buttons are. They look like they are a locking type of strap button, but not one that I've ever seen. So maybe Dunlop or one of the other less popular ones than the Shure ones that I use. But it does look like there's locking strap locks that you can put a regular strap on if need be. So who is this guitar for? This is really a versatile guitar that would suit a lot of players' needs. When you think of an Eddie Van Halen guitar, you generally think of a shred machine, but this is not what I would call super shreddy as far as what it's geared towards. I'd say if anything, it's geared more towards a Gibson player, because we do have the cream binding and the top that's different than the body. That's kind of a Gibson staple. They have a maple top usually, but sometimes it's mahogany, sometimes it's rosewood. But to me, it's just a really nice playing guitar. The neck just feels good in your hands. It's not thin, super thin like a shredder style neck, but it's not super chunky either. Just a really nice kind of C-shaped profile, and the satin finish really does help your hand move up and down without it getting caught. I love the body style, kind of a mishmash of a Telecaster and a Les Paul. That's what Eddie was going for with his original design, and I think that they really nailed it. Having two humbuckers that are splittable, even though you can only have the outside or inner coils as the single coil option, it still gives you a lot more tonal capabilities than just a regular old two humbucker guitar. Not to mention, these DiMarzio pickups sound absolutely amazing in every single position. Really helps put icing on the cake. So this is going to be my new #1 for a while. We'll work it into a few other videos and demo out some other things. But I'd love to hear what you have to say about the Ernie Ball Music Man Axis family of guitars. And if you have an Axis SuperSport yourself, drop me a line. I'd love to hear what you think of it. So again, thanks for watching this video. I hope to see you on the next one. If you like this content, feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks again.